This is it's in Tucson. And you can see the low light coming in from the left and hitting everything from the side there. So what I want to do is emphasize that. And you can see it in the rocks real clearly. What you can't see it in is the shrubbery and all the small trees and bushes all in here. There's not enough form. Same thing back in here. So I want to use that low light of the evening to create more form in that. It's just too mushy. There's no substance here to these bushes, small trees. So I want them to look a bit more like the rock. Not quite as heavy and solid, but a bit more solid. So knowing the light is coming this way, I'm going to have the light shapes on all these shrubbery, which I'll pull a lot of them together. Light shapes that way, and then the dark pattern will be vertical going this way. And if I can see it in those shapes, it's going to be easier to paint. And I have no problems with making my painting not look like the photograph. So it can be a problem if you don't like that. And for a long time I didn't. I thought I had to paint what was exactly in front of me, but that's called copying. We want to interpret more than copy. So the changes I made here are just like the rock. I have a dark side. There we go. And a light side. It's not a mushy mass anymore that has no shape to it. So I have kind of a orangey, a real orange reddish green here, and then more of the muted yellow green there. The yellow green has orange in it too, so there's a bit of orange in all the light areas here. Somewhat muted because the desert shrubbery and trees, they don't have much color to them, strong color or saturated color. So, but the orange gives it that suggestion of light. But I pulled these shapes together, big shape here, kind of a shape here, and a couple of shapes there. Same thing back in here. Real definite shapes. And reduced the number of individual bushes by quite a bit. And really didn't paint much as far as individual bushes. They're more clumps of several bushes or small trees. So the more I can see it in terms of those masses, the better. Same thing in the background. I just cooled everything off. Shadows got a little lighter and more violet, and then the lights are more muted orange, lighter and darker. So a couple of values or color changes of light, and then that one dark, more muted violet. And then pushing that background even simpler. Background, I pushed it way back there, created more depth. Further back something is, the less detail, the less value changes within that dark shadow. Here we got some value changes in these bushes up here, a darker dark and a lighter dark. But I don't need that in the distance. It's too far away, and that would be too much detail. So that evening light gives us that opportunity to really find those solid forms in the shrubbery. Now, which one of these goes first? This one. This is also in Sheridan, Wyoming. Again, late evening light. I was interested in the sunlight and shadow on the, there we go, on the hills. It's the Bighorn Mountains. And, but again, the foreground, like some of the other photographs, no sunlight. So taking advantage of being able to get that low horizontal light, leaving a lot of the shadows, I went ahead and pushed the light here. So hitting the edges of the trees, just like hitting the edges of that shrubbery in the last photograph from Tucson, creating more shape by more dark and light, and more interest from that low light. Getting the dark greens cooler back in there and here. But keeping things simple. A simple dark that's facing the viewer and then a light that's facing the setting sun in the evening. And again, a bit of orange in things, and cool down the shadows here, because without the sunlight in the flat plane here, the shadows don't look cool. But the minute you have that brighter sunlight streaking through here, then you have to cool down the shadows, because they're going to look cooler next to that warm light. And composition-wise, this is going to be more square, even though it's longer. Cows I could move around. I wouldn't worry about them. It won't quite be square. More of a rectangle, but not very long at all, because I do like more foreground here. There's more interest in the mountains to include them vertically, so it's not going to get as horizontal. But those simple value changes, temperature changes, really pop things, and I can think through what the shadows would do, like on the house here, on the roof, the shadow on the roof there. When you think through those things, it helps the images look more realistic. If you just put it in there and don't think about the cast shadows that might fall on it. Same thing in here, cast shadows here and the sunlight there. And but these late evening images that we take give a lot more opportunity to introduce more light than what's there.